Hey guys, Jack here. I want to talk about the last Heisei Ultraman series. That being Ultraman Rube. Now, originally, Ultraman Rube was going to be called Ultraman Z, or Z, because Z is the last letter of the alphabet, and this was the last Ultra series in the Heisei era. But it kind of shifted. Instead of it being about a singular Ultraman, this would be about a pair of brothers who gain the power of Ultras. But a little background. Long ago, the two previous holders of the Ultra came to stop an evil monster from taking over the world, along with their sister. Now, the monster was too powerful for the three siblings to handle alone, so instead of all of them dying, the two older brothers used their beam attacks to protect their sister, telling her, "You must live." However, the result of this is that their Ultra forms were destroyed, causing the transformation items, known as Rube crystals, to scatter throughout the crater, which would eventually become our main city for our show. Now, the younger sister grew with a vengeance, but I'm not here to talk about her right now. Let's go all the way to current times. Here, the spirits of the two brothers give their power to two human brothers named Katsuni and Isami, who just happen to look like their human forms. Yeah, I should mention this. They got their powers the same way Ultraman Orb did, from the O50 galaxy, on top of Warrior's Peak, where Orb got the Orb Caliber and became Orb Origin the first. Now, Ultraman Orb will play a big factor in this series. But first, let's get into our brothers. Now, Katsuni is the oldest. Now, he originally aspired to be a pro baseball player, but after their mother disappeared, spoiler, she actually got sent to another dimension by accident, while trying to keep the Sluggers away from the main villain for the first half of the series. But, hang on. Let me just check something here. Sorry guys, this shouldn't take more than... You go away. There we go. Okay, it's a message, I just need to move it to... There we go. Now, like I mentioned before, Katsuni is the elder brother, and he originally aspired to be a pro baseball player. But after their mother disappeared, i.e. it happened when they were young, so this decision didn't come out of the spur of the moment, but it's a big plot point. It turns out she got banished to another dimension, and actually the gyros, I'm pretty sure the spirits of the original brothers, resonated with her cries when they were getting attacked by the first monster series, which I think I'll go over in the second video because of, my computer keeps freezing on me. But let's move on. So Katsuni helped out with his family's store, and at the end of their movie, Ultraman Rube Select the Crystal of Bonds, he decided to go to Milan because his father had a friend there. Yeah, the whole movie was basically about what Katsuni wanted to do with his life, and he was worried he was losing his connection to his family. I can't relate. I do understand that if he's the elder brother and he has everybody else decide what they want to do with their lives and he hasn't, it's kind of a fair reaction. So, like I mentioned before, he went to Milan to study under his father's friend to become a world-class designer. Next is Isami. Now, Isami is more of the reckless type. However, his family works to the bone to put him through college. Now, at the end of the movie, he decides to go study in California. I don't know what it is, I think I may miss that, but all I know is he went to study there. Next is their sister Asahi, who is actually very interesting. She actually doesn't exist. Well, sort of. Now, she wasn't born into the Magneto family. She was actually created by a crystal. To this day, I don't know why. But the point is, their memories were altered to act like she was always there. And in the movie, the sister of the original Rubes, of the original two Ultras of our series, who had to change her heart and sacrifice herself to save her brothers, gave her her transformation item. And in the movie, she actually becomes an Ultraman, being Ultra Woman. Now, this is actually the first case of there being an Ultra Woman. They're all female Ultras, but they usually don't enter battle, so they're extremely rare. The first Ultra Woman was in Ultraman 80, and that was more at the end of the series, known as Ultra Woman, Yulia. So, Asahi's form is the second. So, while her brothers go to study, and while they're off fighting evil with the new generation heroes when the situation ever calls for it, she's the one she stays behind, since she's still in high school, to defend the city. Now, unlike her brothers, this is actually a nice segue into our transformation trinkets, she does not use said trinkets. These being the Rube crystals. Now there are two varieties of crystals: Ultra crystals and Kaiju crystals. Now, Kaiju crystals basically have monsters being menacing, but the Rube crystals have Ultras with an element, and usually with their hands like they're ready to fight. Now, Katsune Isami, and later Asahi, and our main villain, Makoto Aizen, who we'll get into later, use the titular Rube gyros. Now, this is a regular Rube gyro, or as Aizen likes to call his, which is a copy, the AZ gyro. Now, the AZ gyro actually broke to the second to last episodes where he appeared where his character ever appeared in. And it's the Satsuki version. Satsuki being the name, whose name is actually Gajiro, is actually the younger sister of Russ, of the original Ultras, like I mentioned before. Now, Asi inherited this gyro, and she doesn't need a Rube crystal to transform, unlike her brothers. Now, the brothers have 7 crystal. Wait. In the middle of something? Well, I was just rude there. Let's see. 7. 4 are used for transformations. The other 3 are used for special attacks. Plus the other 4. Now they also have 2 special crystals known as the Kiwami and Makoto crystal. Now, whenever the brothers use their transformation crystals, they flip out 2 horns. When Katsune uses it, he flips up 2 long horns, well, not on the top, but on the side. When Isami uses a Rube crystal, he flips up a horn that is dead in the top center. Now, we'll go over it. Now, since there are like 5 different Ultras, 4 different Ultras, 6 if you count their fusion forms, which I won't refer to as such because there's just too many of them. But I will be referring to, so I won't be using the super form and mega form like I normally do, but I will still be using their final form. Well, I will still be using the form they take in the movie, being called their final form. Because that's the way Jack Keller rolls, baby! So first, let's look at Ultraman Rosso. Now, Isami and Katsune's transformations are very simple. First, they use their Rube collection case, i.e. what they used to hold their transformation crystals, and they're slit. Then they'll hold it at this, and they'll go, well, Katsune will use his right side, Isami will use his left. Hang on. Yeah, that's right. So, in any case, the brothers will go, select, crystal, and then they'll flip their titular horns out. They'll then hold the crystals out and put it into the gyro. The gyro will then say the name of the Ultra. Ultraman Taro! in this case, for Katsuni, he uses a fire crystal as his main transformation. So, it will call out Ultraman Taro. Then they have a pre-transformation call. Now, they'll hold their Gyros up in the air, and then they'll shout it. When either brother is using fire form, that way it can do this easily, they'll say, enshrined by fire, the crimson flame. Then they'll hold it down near their chest. They'll pull the levers for the gyro out 2 times, then thrust it in front of them and pull it out a 3rd. So then raise their hand out while shouting, ah! I also forgot, the background before they insert the crystals is usually white. But it'll change color and have some element reflections depending on and reflect the element of the crystal they're using. In fire case, while it's stable, you can see it kind of bursting out a little, like fire normally does. They'll then hold their arms up, and when they use the transformations for their main forms, yeah, I'll go with it. They'll shout out, the gyro will shout, for Katsuni's form, his name is Ultraman Rasso, it'll shout out, Ultraman Rasso, flame! And Katsuni will rise with his right arm upwards. Now, when they use each other's crystals, it's a little different. Instead of rising, they'll usually hold up their opposite hand. For Katsuni, it's his left hand. For Isami, it's his right. And I should mention this now, when Isami does his pre-standard rise sequence, he also does his left. When using the Ginga crystal, which is water-based, the brothers will say, enshrined by the water, the azure ocean, and then the gyro will say their Ultraman names and their element. In this case, for Katsuni, Ultraman Rasso, Aqua. Now for wind, it's enshrined by wind, the violet cyclone. And again, now for their earth-based power, they'll say enshrined by earth, the amber land. Now they'll also be surrounded by the elements depending on their rise sequences. So let's look at those forms now, shall we? This is Rasso Flame, his main form. Now he can use firemental energy attacks. Now his main technique for this one is the Flame Sphere Shoot. Katsuni, waiting for it to reload, will bring his arms out with fire energy surrounding him. He'll bring his arms together while a spear of fire is forming. He'll then bring his arms around a plus position, then thrust his arms forward, shooting the spear. Hence why it's called Flame Sphere Shoot. Now he has combo attacks with his brothers, but I'll get into that when we look at Isami's Ultra form. I may be making 3 parts. Next is Rasso Aqua. I forgot to mention, each Ultras have arm guards. And Q-Touch, depending on what arm guards used, depending on which brother is used, depends on how many arm guards. Okay, see right here? That's what I'm talking about. Right there. Now Rasso has 1, but Isami's Ultra form has 2. But we'll get into that a little later. Son of a bitch. Every time. Now, once again, this is Rasso Aqua. Now, his main ability is if I'm looking at this correctly, is the Splash Bomb. Hang on. Dang it, this is why these videos take so dang long. Now, he can do this in 2 forms. Oh, no, wait. It's actually just the 1. Dang it, every time. Sorry, guys. I know this is... So, basically, similar to Flame Sphere Shoot, but instead of spreading his arms out like so, he'll gather water energy in his hands and create a huge ball of water, then thrust his arms forward, launching it. Why does this always happen? Next is Rosso Wind. Going down, going down. I think I ran past it. Oops. Now first is the Hurricane Bullet. Now, hang on, I'm waiting for it to come around again. Now Rosso will gather wind energy in his right arm and bring it down to his left side. He'll then thrust it forward using his earth power, using his wind abilities. Next is Rosso Ground. I think that's what it's called. Yep, got it right. Yes. Now, his special attack on... Oh, wait. No, yeah, wait. Now, his special attack in this one is ground explosion. Basically, he'll light his hands up and form a small light sphere of energy. He'll then gather rocks surrounding from him, and the light sphere will become a giant boulder. He'll then launch it at his enemies. Now, the brothers do have 2 transformation items, but I feel like I'll go over that when we go over the titular Ultra who makes me mad. Like I mentioned in my last video, this one really tests my patience really drives me angry because, like I mentioned in my last video, I love Ultraman Orb. Nope, that's not it. Next is Isami's form, Ultraman Blue. Now, once again, it's pretty much the same thing for all of them. First, we'll look at Blue Aqua, his main form. Now, while he does look similar to his brother, the main difference is the horns are the decorations on their head. Mainly because, well, differences. Now, his main finisher in this attack is the Aqua Stream. He'll coat his forearms and his fists in water energy after bringing them from his color timer. He'll then bring them closer together and then form an L-style position, and similar to the Flame Sphere shoot, he'll shoot it forward. Now, the brothers have a combo attack for this called the Flame Aqua Hybrid Shoot. Now, basically they combine the power of the Flame Sphere shoot and the Aqua Stream. Basically, then they combine into then they begin to twist around each other, forming this sort of Flame Aqua Hybrid Energy Blast. Next is Blue Flame. Yeah, I know these names are weird, considering they're Ultramen, but actually, it's based on their first forms. You see, they're named after colors set in Italian. Rosso meaning red, and Blue meaning, well, blue. That's without the E. Now, his main attack in this one is the Flame Elixir. Now, basically, Blue launches fire energy from his left hand. Next is... Dang it! Next is Rosso Wind. Now... Yeah, that seems about right. Now, going back down. Now, this form is used by... Now, I forgot to mention this earlier. Each form crystal has a certain Ultra tied to its name. The Flame Crystal having Toro, the Water Crystal having Ginga, the Wind Crystal having Tiga, and the Earth Crystal having Victory. Now, his main attack in this one is the Storm Shooting. Basically, he gathers wind energy near his color timer in a cyclone type shape, then thrusts his hands forward. Are they Next is Rosso Ground. Blue Ground, as you can see here. Now, his main attack well, I was way off. But he has two special techniques, but I'm going over the first one he used. First, his main attack is the Earth Bringer. Basically, he'll cross arms near his forehead, then bring them downwards. He'll then slam his fist on the ground, creating an earthquake of energy. Now, before we go over their sister, because she's a movie exclusive, let's go over their two main weapons. The Rube Sluggers. Now, depending on which brother's using it, the Rube Sluggers have two different forms. When Katsune uses it, it's two separate daggers. He holds the long one in his hand straight up, and the short one upside down. For Buddha, he holds it as a short sword. Now each brother, by placing a Rube crystal inside the slot, can use a special power. Let's go over Rosso's first. First is the Twin Zero Slicer. Now, by using the zero, depending on what form it is, depends on how the attack is used, or if it's an elemental crystal. But the main thing is that using the power of the Zero Crystal, Rosso charges up energy in the two blades of the Rube Slugger, and then slashes them outwards. Next is the Zeta Doom Sonic. This uses the power of the Ultraman X Crystal. So basically, he does two slashes in the energy, creating a giant energy-shaped X. And he'll basically punt. And he'll basically use the sluggers to shoot it forward. Next is the Cross Spark Slugger. The Cross Spark Shoot. Using the power of the Ginga Crystal, Rosso can fire a stream of freezing cold energy from the crystals. And looking at the gift here, he crosses them together before firing them. Next is the Double Millennium Edge. By using the power of the Ultra 7 Crystal, Rosso can launch an energy projectile shaped like a projectile similar to Ultra 7's Eye Slugger. By using the power of the Stroom Crystal, Rosso can use the Twin Stroom Slasher. Basically, he slashes the slugger 2 times while creating 2 energy slashes. Next is the Double Arrow Slicer. Wow, there's a lot of slicers. Basically, Rosso fires a fast-moving and launches multiple energy slashes at fast pace, slashing his enemy. Next is the Victorium Cross. By using the Victory Crystal in the Rube Slugger, Rosso can create a V-style shaped attack. And he usually does this while aiming it at the ground, which he uses it, so makes sense. Now we'll look at Bulls. First is the Wide Shot Slugger. By using the 7 Crystal, he can create an energy slugger similar to Ultra 7's classic Eye Slugger. Next is the Sparker attack. By using the X Crystal, his Rube Slugger isn't doubted with Thunder energy. I think I forgot to mention the name, but I'm going to mention it again just in case I actually did. It's called the Sparker attack. Sorry. Ooh, I am sweating. So, in any case, Bull, again, Rube Slugger code and Thunder energy. Then Bull jumps in the air and slashes his opponent, which electrocutes them. Wait, what? Huh. No, I haven't watched Rube in a while, but I'm pretty sure it did something different. Huh. Well, learn something new every day. Stay in school, kids. Okay, next is the Bringer Flash. By using the power of the Tigger Crystal, Bull forms an X made of purple energy, before making one more and sending it flying at an opponent. This basically transforms it into an energy drill. Yay, energy drills! Next is the Gravity Slasher. Now, he uses the Victory Crystal. Now, he forms a V made of crystals and impales the weapon into the ground. Now, he forms a crystal-shaped V and impales it into the ground. And the ground will break apart, and smaller projectiles are fired from it. But development companies had fun with that one. Next is the Dynamite Slash. Now, this comes from the power of the Taro Crystal. Now, basically, Bull will launch a stream of energy from the blade on his slugger. Next is the Galaxy Saber. This comes from, Ginga's Crystal. And basically, he makes an energy projectile similar to Ginga's Head Crystal. He'll slash once to the left and once to the right to create the first half, and then he'll project a slugger forward, creating the crystal part that goes up to Ginga's top of his head. Next is the Spiral Slugger. Now, this is used in the Zero Crystal and basically launches Bull with It launches a rotating energy slash to his opponent. So, before we get into their next form, let's go into the guy I never wanted to talk about. This is Ultraman Orb Dark. Or as he likes to be called, Ultraman Orb Black Noir. Ultraman Orb Dark, Black Noir Schwartz. For those of you who don't know, he's basically saying black. Once in English, and two other times in another language. I like the gag. But Orb Dark infuriates me. And now, I will rant. He believes that Ultramen are there to be cool. Just to gain popularity. And the brothers call out his hypocrisy because in order to gain such popularity, he was creating accidents in the first place. And the brothers' idea of being an Ultraman is that they're there to make the world to protect the world from threats they can't handle, i.e. giant monsters. So that way, humanity can sleep a little safer, knowing that because the brothers never got into this for fame and glory, they got into it because it's the right thing to do. And I agree with them. Ultramen are there to protect. If they gain popularity, that's fine. But that's not what they're there for. They're there to help. They're there to protect. They're there not to gain fame and glory. They're there because it's the right thing to do, and they've done it out of the goodness of their hearts. Well, for some Ultras. None of the Ultras before Rosso and Blue had to be bribed. They did it because it's the right thing to do. And what's Orb Dark's philosophy? Ultras are there because people need a hero. Well, I agree that Ultras are heroes. They're not there for popularity. If I have to compare this to someone, I would have to compare it to Batman. Now, of course, they're not all dark and broody, except for Zero, but hey, that's another time. He's not there for fame and glory. True, while he is famous, it's not why he does it. He does it so the world can be a little less chaotic. So, something that happened to him in his childhood does not happen to anyone else. He's there so that the chaos of the world doesn't hurt anyone else. True, people will get hurt, but he's there to make sure that he can save all lives. And that's what Ultraman do. When the Earth they're guarding is safe, with Ultra Multiverse stuff, they leave. Because if a threat ever comes back, they know an Ultra will also come back. It might not be them, it might be a new Ultra. But they know when they need to be there and when they don't. Hence, mainly movies, the Ultras leave the planet because they're no longer needed there. Now, if a threat ever does come back, then they're needed. But when the Earth is safe, that's why they return home, because they know their job is done. And Orb Dark thinks that Ultras are there just for coolness. I'm sorry about that, guys. I needed to rant. But now that I got that in my system, let's go over his main form. Now, as you can see, it's basically a black version of Orb Origin. And instead of a blue color timer and white eyes, and a white beard thing, he has a red color timer and dark red eyes. Now, he also has a version of the Orb Caliber called the Dark Orb Caliber, or the Orb Dark Caliber. And he's also a carbon copy. And however, he has the nerve to call Raso and Buu, i.e. Isami and Katsuni Isami, fake Ultramen. Well, I admit, they're not the original. They still are Ultramen. He is literally a copy. Oh, boy. So, the transformation, I'm not doing it, basically has his host put an Orb Origin crystal into, which is Makoto Aizen, like I mentioned him before, into his gyro. He then pulls it 3 times in a, okay, that's just weird, in a similar style to how Guy does his fusion ups. It'll then summon the Orb Ring Neo, which we'll get into in a little bit. But basically, he will then use it to transform. Now, like I mentioned before, his weapon is the Orb Dark Caliber. And it has similar abilities to the original Orb Caliber. And it works the same way. If you guys have seen my Orb video, you know how it works. Except he can't use an Orb Supreme Caliber attack. Actually, he can. I'm pretty sure it's a game exclusive form. It's called the Orb Excellent Caliber. Interesting. But basically, these both work the same way. Instead, they're just called differently. First is the Orb Dark Inferno Caliber, then the Orb Dark Ice Caliber, the Orb Dark Rock Caliber, and the Orb Dark Typhoon Caliber. The last one is never used. And since we're on the subject of Orb, have you noticed the Root Crystals are actually the same ones Orb uses for his Orb Caliber? Fire, water, wind, and earth. Or you could also think Avatar. But I'll get into Avatar on another day. So, anywho, by using the Orb Ring in what I like... Now, in the original skins, the Orb Ring Neo had a hero and villain mode. I use it to differentiate between the two. And there's also another way to show. The Orb Ring Neo has a switch on it. When the switch is downwards, it's in villain mode. Or dark mode. When the trigger is pressed up, it's in hero or root mode. Now, his attacks, basically Dark Origin Caliber, Dark Specium Ray, Dark Zectanium Ray, the last two are never used, and Dark Stream Dynamite, are, again, copies. However, the one attack he has that isn't related to Orb is his Tranquilization Wave. Basically, this allows him to paralyze monsters. But again, let's not go there. Now, here is the Orb Ring Neo. As you can see, it's very similar to Orb's color timer. Here it is in standby mode. This is in villain mode. This is in dark mode. And this is in root mode. Now, in any case, in order to activate it, the brothers have to press the center, have to press where the ring is. That's the center, and basically it allows them to use Orb's attacks. Now, when used in the Rube Slugger, they can use the Rube Gyro, they can use the triple Iridium Ray. Now, first they put it into the Rube's. Now, they first have to hold that button down for a while until it flashes the Rube mode color, meaning blue. I'm not sure why I brought the Warp Dark Caliber up. I don't want to look at it anymore. And then put it in the gyro. Then either Katsuni or Isami, depending on who has it at the time, will pretty much do their standard transformation bit. They'll first thrust it upwards, then bring it down near them. They'll pull the levers 2 times, then thrust it out forward. And do it, and hold it, and move it 3 times. Now the brothers will hold their arms up till they're touching each other with their other arm outwards. For Katsuni, it's his right. For Isami, it's his left. And then that will summon the aura of Orb Origin. Basically, a giant energy version of Orb Origin. He'll then bring his arms out and create a giant version of him using his Iridium Ray. And then the brothers, along with Orb Origin, will do a similar style. Hang on, I need to wait for the gift to come back around so I know how to put it. Oh, it's an L style, got it. And so the brothers will bring their arms down. Then they'll bring both arms like so, and then hold it in an L style position along with that aura. And all 3 blasts will go through that ring of light and fuse together to make one giant blast. Now, Katsuni does his right, while Isami does his left. And the Aura of Orb Origin also does his right. I mean left. Okay, Katsuni left, Orb Origin, Aura of Orb Origin left, and Isami right. Next, we'll get into the brothers' fusion form. That, of course, being Ultraman Rube. Now, of course, this is Ultraman Rube himself. Handsome devil, isn't he? Now, for the standard transformation, the brothers would have to use the power of an Ultraman crystal, which represents light, and a Balio crystal, which represents darkness. Now, the original Rasenbu could never access this, because it took a connection with their sister, which, because of them always being protective, they never got the chance to do. However, after Katsuni and Isami connected with Asahi, they were able to use the crystals. Now, Katsuni will use the Ultraman crystal, and Isami will use the Balio crystal. And then they'll fuse together. Go away, you. And then the energies from their 4 transformation crystals will transfer into it, creating the Kiwami crystal. Now, Katsuni usually does the main transformation, but Isami will be right next to him. First, Katsuni will appear on the right, with Isami appearing on the left. Isami will then press the button on the side, and while the brothers will then say, select crystal, and then the crystal will open up. Now this one has that straight up pointing horn and the 2 side horns, and when in its closed mode, it has the face of Rube. Then Katsuni will insert into his Rube Gyro. Then the spirits of Toro, Ginga, Tiga, Victory, Balio, and Ultraman will appear with them, and then they'll fuse together into an element. Katsuni will hold his gyro up, similar to a pre-transformation, and Isami will also look up. The 2 staying together, enshrined by extremity, the golden universe. Then Katsuni will bring the gyro down, while Isami looking at it, and then he'll do the pre-transformation thing. However, instead of showing the brothers lifting their arms up like so. The gyro will then flash, showing us showing Rube rising, and once again it's left-handed, with him holding his right arm down, and his left arm down, and his right arm up, and you can clearly hear the brothers shouting, "Rube!" Now Rube has the power of both Ultramen. However, there is one drawback. The crystal, in order to become Rube, the crystal focuses in on the bond the two share. If they're in an argument or can't agree or are in a fight, the crystal will not react to them, causing pain for both of them and forcing them backwards. Now, he has a weapon, but we'll go over that a little later. Now, first is the Rubium Ray, or the Rube Kosen. Unfortunately, I'm not getting anything. But if I remember correctly, Rassemble will coat their hands in golden energy, and then bring them outwards. You'll then hear them say together, "Rubium Kosen!" and then fire a plus beam. And similar to how Riku had the Brothers capsule for the... Oh, wait, hang on, here's the gift. No, wait, that's the new generation. That's the new generation barrier. Dang it! Okay, so first, the brothers will hold their arms together, then circle them around till the knuckles are like so. They'll then bring them together in a plus-style position. Just ignore her, guys. She's just getting dinner ready. Now, similar to how Ultraman Jeed had the Brothers capsule that allowed him to use...
If he wants to eat, I gotta start now.
Get away! These are my people! Sorry about that, guys. Stop it! You're on thin ice! Okay, so anyway, similar to how Jeed had the Brothers capsule to use the Brothers shield, Rube has a crystal that allows him to use the new generation barrier. Now, this is only used once, similar to the Brothers capsule, and it's used by Isami. Isami will flip up the Raso horn on the crystal, and then pull the trigger, similar to transformation. Rube will then hold his arm outward, his two fists outwards, then bring them together with rainbow-colored energy formed between them. This will summon the spirits of the past new generation heroes, and they'll fire all their beam attacks to repel an enemy attack. Not really a barrier. Weird. Anywho, let's look at their main weapon, the Rube Coring. Now, the Rube Coring, meaning light ring, is a buzzsaw-like weapon. That was fast. But anywho, let me just do this real quick. The Rube Coring has two modes. In Raso mode, it's a buzzsaw-like weapon, and using Rube's speed can be used to cut things and can be used to deflect things. Now, depending on what form it's in, it has different finishers. When it's in Raso mode, it has the Rube Vortex Buster. First, they place the Kiwami crystal into the Rube Coring. Then Isami will hold it outwards. Then you'll hear the two brothers shout Rube. Then, depending on who's using it, we'll call the attack. In this case, it's Rube. In this case, it's Isami's voice. He then shouts, "Vortex Buster!" And then a rainbow-like beam shoots from the crystal. When it's used in Bull mode, it's basically become an it's not a buzzsaw anymore. It basically becomes a slash weapon. Now, this one is the Rube Coring Shot. Once again, this time Isami will put the Rube crystal in, and then shout And once again, you hear the brothers shout, Rube, together. Then you'll hear Isami's voice go, Corrine shot! And this basically allows him to shoot an energy saw at his opponent. Next, we're going to look at the Ultra Woman who debuted in the movie. If I can get a good picture, I'm going down to her profile, it's easier. This is Ultra Woman Gajiro. Or Grajiro. I don't know. Now, her abilities actually involve healing. First is the Cheer Charge. She could create balls, emit small balls of light that, when put into an already transformed Ultra, whose color time is glowing red, can extend that time limit. And next is her Grajiro Cheer Burst. This is basically a more wide-range version of her Cheer Charge. It allows her to create a burst of light energy that are able to recharge any Ultras within her vicinity with light energy. Next is the Grajiro Shot. Now, Grajiro will basically move her arms in a similar fashion and then shoot a ray style. We'll cross her arms out like so. We'll cross her arms together near her color time while holding her hands like this. And then bring them outwards and form a plus style ray. Now, this form was actually exclusive to Ultraman Fusion Fight. Yes, that's still a thing. Even though they really didn't fuse, so what was the point? Hang on, guys. Okay, I don't care. I truly don't care. Go away. Okay, what? Hang on. That was weird. It didn't even freeze. Now, when all of them combine, they form Ultraman group. Now, Transformation Rise. In their Ultra forms, the three siblings will hold their hands together. Similar to how from another sort of show called Ultras-esque show called Triple Fighter. That's a whole nother can of worms for another day. Then they'll summon the Makoto Crystal, which is the crystal that made Isami. Then together they'll shout, Select! And then Isami will together they'll shout, Select! Crystal! With Katsuni in the middle, Isami on the right, and Asahi on the left. Now wait, Isami's on the left, Asahi is on the right. And Makoto will press a button on the crystal similar to the Kiwami crystal, and the crystal will announce, Overlap! The three souls! Isami will then place the crystal in his Rube gyro and hold it straight upwards. Isami will hold his left arm up, while Isami will hold his right arm upwards, and Asahi will hold up her right. And together they'll shout, Enshrined by reality, the immortal truth! Then the standard transformation occurs, except unlike Ultraman Rube, we actually get to see all of them raise their hands together. And then you'll hear the gyro shout, Ultraman Groob! Now, Groob is an interesting case, because in his first debut, he was CG. I don't know why they decided to do this. It was kind of annoying. Unless it's for a brief second, I don't like Ultraman in CG. Well, unless there's a point. You'd think this just make the movie more cost efficient. And what they've had CG in Ultraman before. And it was bad. But that's currently neither here nor there. But luckily, by the time New Generation Ultra Galaxy Fight New Generation Heroes came around, we got a proper suit version. I prefer the suit. Now, Groob actually has the power to summon the Rube Chlorine. Here's the fact I forgot to mention. When Rube summons the Rube Chlorine, he calls it from a circle on his color timer. But Groob doesn't have that. So where's that circle? On his back. I mean, it's not a bad design choice, it's just weird. I guess I didn't need that. But anywho, by using the Makoto crystal in place of the Kiwami crystal, the Rube Chlorine can do different attacks. But these are basically more powerful. First is the Groob Vortex Buster. Now this is similar to Rube's Vortex Buster, except it's more powerful. And like with Rube, first you hear the two brothers shouting Rube's name, and then you hear Katsuni shouting its attack. It's the same here, except with Asahi Foreign in the mix, it's saying Groob. Yeah. I didn't like the name before, but it's grown on me. Next is the Groob Chlorine Shot. Again, same type of thing. Shout the name with Asahi in the mix, then you hear Isami do it. But unlike the Rube Chlorine Shot, which only shoots one energy ring, the Groob Shot shoots 3. Next is the Groobing Ray, or the Groobing Beam. Now, if I'm reading this correctly, I'm looking at this give correctly, Groob will summon energy near his color timer and spread his arms out like so. He'll then shine for a bit, and you'll hear the sibling say, Groobing Kosen! And use a plus style finisher. And in Groob's debut movie, we actually learned that the Groobing Ray, while it does destroy monsters, if there's a human trapped inside a monster, it will remove the human undamaged. I find that nice. So, Ultraman Rube. I admit, it's different. I mean, again, the part with Orb Dark's hypocrisy just pisses me off. But aside from that, and Sasuke, but I've already ranted once today, and it has made me sweaty. So, what's the main theme here? Basically, the main theme is family. If you have your family with you, the days may be tough, but if you have your family with you, it's easier to get through them. And this was constantly shown in the Rube series and in the movie, where whenever the brothers were flying alone or separated, while they could still do things, they weren't as effective. However, when they were together, they were nearly unstoppable. Of course, they still took some hits, but they always got back up. And even when they argued with each other, they knew that their bonds were the strongest weapon they've had, despite the power-ups they've received throughout the series. And that's why the movie is called Select the Crystal of Bonds. Because the main theme of Ultraman Rube is that even when you're separated from your family, your bond is still strong. So that's it for Ultraman Rube. Next time, I'll be taking a look at the first Ultras, and I do use that term with purpose, with a reason, to be the first in the Heisei series, and the first Heisei Ultras, again, using it good, to be part of the new generation heroes. But what do you guys think? Do you want me to talk over a certain character from Rube? Let me know in the comments down below. Hit that like button and please subscribe to my channel. I don't update often, but when I do, hit that bell icon, you'll get all the latest updates. And I'm sorry this video took so long, but I just love talking, but there was just so many things to talk about. It took a while, especially when my mom interrupted, but that's not besides the point. Well, that's all for now. This is Jack Killer saying, Rube and Groob, and the pre-transformation cry, color me with your power, Rube, and see ya.